What if I told you that the next 12 months could quietly decide the next 20 years of your life? Not by luck, not by timing, not by connections, but by the 8 silent things you choose to fix before 2027. Most people will ignore them, repeat the same habits, and wake up in the same life just with more regrets. But just a few, will change everything. We are living in a time where distractions are louder than dreams, and comfort is slowly becoming the biggest danger to success. Everyone wants a better life, but very few are willing to upgrade themselves. The truth is simple. Your future is not waiting for motivation. It is waiting for transformation. And transformation begins when you start improving the parts of your life that no one claps for, no one praises, but everything depends on. Discipline is the first real test of whether your dreams are serious or just wishes you say when you feel emotional. Many people love the idea of success, but very few are willing to pay the price of repetition, boredom, and consistency that success demands. You may feel motivated today, inspired tomorrow, and completely empty the next day, but discipline is what keeps you moving even when your emotions quit on you. It is not loud, it does not feel exciting, but it quietly builds the kind of life that motivation alone can never create. Think about it, every great achievement you admire was built in moments where no one was watching. While others were resting on excuses, disciplined people were repeating the same actions again and again, even when progress felt invisible. That is the hidden truth most people avoid. Success is not a moment, it is a routine. And that routine is built through discipline, not desire. If you cannot control your time, you cannot control your future. The way you wake up in the morning, the way you respond to laziness, the way you handle distractions, all of it is shaping your destiny more than you realize. Discipline is not about being strict with life, it is about being honest with yourself. It is choosing long-term respect over short-term comfort. Most people lose their battle not because they are incapable, but because they negotiate too often with their own promises. I will start tomorrow. I will do it later. Just today, I will relax. These small compromises slowly become habits, and those habits silently become a life you never intended to live. Discipline breaks that cycle. It forces action when excuses try to take over. You don't need a perfect plan to become disciplined. You need a decision strong enough to override your mood. Start small, but stay consistent. Do not wait for motivation to arrive like a guest. It rarely stays long. Instead, build a system where even your worst day still includes progress. That is how identity changes. Not by big events, but by repeated behavior. In the end, discipline is not punishment. It is freedom in disguise. It frees you from confusion, regret, and wasted potential. And when you master it, you stop being someone who reacts to life and start becoming someone who directs it. Focus is the quiet superpower that separates those who drift through life from those who shape it. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence or opportunity. They fail because their attention is scattered everywhere at once. In a world overflowing with notifications, opinions, entertainment, and endless comparisons, your ability to stay focused has become more valuable than almost any talent you can imagine. What you give your attention to is slowly becoming your life. Every day, your mind is being pulled in different directions. One moment you are thinking about your goals, the next moment you are lost in distractions that don't move your life forward even a single step. And over time, this constant switching creates a hidden damage. You stay busy, but you don't truly move. You feel active, but you don't feel progress. That is the illusion of modern life, motion without direction. Focus is not about doing more things at once, it is about doing fewer things with deeper intensity. When your mind is divided, your results are weak, but when your mind is locked on one direction, even ordinary effort becomes powerful. Think of it like light passing through a lens. Scattered light cannot burn anything, but concentrated light can cut through steel. Your focus works the same way. The biggest enemies of focus are not external, they are internal. It is not just social media or noise around you, it is the constant urge to escape discomfort. The moment something feels difficult, the mind searches for relief in distraction. But growth never happens in relief, it happens in resistance. And focus is your ability to stay inside that resistance long enough for something meaningful to form. If you want a different life, you must start choosing what deserves your attention and what does not. Every yes to distraction is a silent no to your future. And most people don't realize how many times they are saying no to their own success every single day. Real focus is built through boundaries. It is built when you decide that your time is not available for everything and everyone. It is built when you stop reacting to every message, every thought, every urge, and instead move with intention. At first it feels uncomfortable because your mind is used to jumping. But slowly it begins to settle, like a restless ocean becoming still. When you master focus, you stop feeling overwhelmed by life. You start seeing clearly. You start completing what you begin. And slowly your results stop being random and start becoming predictable. That is the point where life begins to shift. Not because the world changed, but because your attention finally stopped leaking in every direction and started building something solid in one place. Skills are the real currency of life, even if most people still behave as if money alone is the goal. The truth is simple but often ignored. Money is not something you chase directly. It is something you attract when your skills become valuable enough. And in a world that is changing faster than ever, your current abilities can become outdated quietly, without warning, if you are not upgrading yourself continuously. Many people make a critical mistake early in life. They focus on earning before learning, expecting that effort alone will be enough to carry them forward. But effort without skill is like running in the wrong direction with full energy. You may feel busy, but you are not getting closer to where you want to be. The world does not reward how hard you try, it rewards what you are capable of delivering. Skills are what make you relevant when circumstances change, when industries shift, when technologies evolve, when opportunities disappear and reappear in new forms. It is not luck that protects you, it is capability. The more skills you develop, the more flexible you become in uncertain times. You are no longer dependent on one path, one job, or one opportunity. You become adaptable, and adaptability is one of the strongest forms of security in life. But skill building requires honesty. It forces you to admit what you do not know, and that is something many people avoid. It is easier to stay comfortable in what you already know than to step into the discomfort of learning something new. Yet every level of growth demands a beginner phase. You cannot reach mastery without first accepting confusion, mistakes, and slow progress. That is the price of improvement. The modern world is full of people who know a little about many things, but very few who deeply master something valuable. And depth is what creates power. A shallow skill may get attention for a moment, but deep skill builds long-term respect, opportunity, and independence. When you are truly skilled at something, you don't need to chase opportunities, they begin to come to you. Improving your skills is not a one-time decision. It is a lifestyle. It means learning when others are relaxing, practicing when others are distracted, and improving when others are satisfied. It means staying a student even when you start earning like a professional. The moment you think you are done learning, you start slowly becoming outdated. If you look closely at people who seem lucky, you will often find years of invisible effort behind their success. They were not lucky, they were prepared. And their preparation came from investing in skills long before the world recognized their value. When you commit to upgrading your abilities continuously, something powerful happens. You stop fearing change because change no longer threatens you. It creates new chances for you to use what you know. That is how skills quietly reshape not just your income, but your entire identity. Your mindset is the invisible foundation behind every decision you make, every reaction you give, and every direction your life slowly moves toward. Circumstances may look like they are in control, but in reality, it is your interpretation of those circumstances that shapes your outcome. Two people can go through the same situation and walk away with completely different futures, not because the situation changed, but because their thinking did. Most people wait for life to become easier before they start thinking differently. They believe success will change their mindset, but the truth works in the opposite direction. Your mindset changes first, and then your circumstances begin to follow. If your thinking remains small, even opportunities will feel overwhelming. If your thinking is strong, even challenges start to look manageable. Life does not expand from the outside in, it expands from the inside out. A limited mindset keeps you trapped in repetition. It makes you assume that your current situation is permanent, even when it is not. It whispers that you are stuck, that change is difficult, that people like you don't get chances. And if you listen to it long enough, you begin to accept a life that is far smaller than what is actually possible for you. That is how potential gets quietly wasted, not by failure, but by belief systems that were never questioned. A growth-oriented mindset, on the other hand, does not deny difficulty. It simply refuses to be defined by it. It sees problems as temporary, skills as developable, and failure as feedback. It understands that nothing in life is fixed except the decision to stop trying. With the right mindset, setbacks become information, not identity. Delays become preparation, not rejection. What shapes your mindset the most is what you repeatedly expose yourself to. The conversations you engage in, the thoughts you entertain, the environments you stay in, all of these slowly build the way you see yourself in the world. If your environment is filled with limitation, your thinking becomes limited. But if you surround yourself with growth, possibility, and learning, your mind naturally starts to expand. Changing your mindset is not about sudden inspiration, it is about daily mental discipline. It is choosing not to believe every negative thought that appears in your mind. It is questioning assumptions that have never been tested. It is refusing to accept defeat before effort is even made. Over time, these small shifts build a completely different internal framework. When your mindset evolves, your outer world begins to respond. Opportunities feel closer, decisions feel clearer, and challenges feel less threatening. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger in the way you interpret it. That is the quiet transformation that changes everything without making noise. Your habits are the silent architects of your life. They do not announce themselves. They do not wait for permission, and they do not ask how you feel. They simply repeat day after day until they slowly shape who you become. Most people believe their future will be decided by big decisions or rare opportunities, but in reality, it is the small actions repeated consistently that build the direction of an entire life. A habit is powerful because it removes the need for constant decision-making. When something becomes a habit, you no longer negotiate with yourself, you simply act. And that is where transformation begins. Because every time you rely on motivation, you introduce uncertainty. But when you rely on habits, you introduce stability. And stability is what creates progress that lasts. The challenge is that habits do not feel important in the beginning. Waking up a little earlier, reading a few pages, practicing a skill for a short time, or avoiding distractions for an hour may seem too small to matter. But life does not change in moments of intensity. It changes in moments of repetition. What feels insignificant today becomes your identity tomorrow. Most people underestimate how quickly bad habits compound. Small distractions, repeated procrastination, and constant delays may seem harmless in isolation, but over time they build a pattern that quietly holds a person back. And the most dangerous part is that this happens slowly enough that it feels normal. That is why people wake up years later wondering how they ended up stuck in the same place. Good habits work the same way, but in the opposite direction. They build momentum. At first, they require effort, even resistance. But once they settle into your routine, they begin to carry you forward with less friction. What once felt difficult becomes automatic, and what once required discipline becomes your natural way of living. Changing habits is not about dramatic transformation overnight. It is about choosing one small action and repeating it until it becomes part of your identity. It is about proving to yourself again and again that you can do what you say you will do. That self-trust becomes the foundation for everything else you build in life. The truth is, your future is not controlled by a single moment of inspiration. It is controlled by what you do when no one is watching, when there is no pressure, and when there is no reward in sight. That is where habits are formed, and that is where lives are quietly decided. When you take control of your habits, you take control of your direction, and once your direction is clear and consistent, your results stop being accidental and start becoming inevitable. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward even when fear is sitting right beside you. Most people misunderstand courage and imagine it as something loud, aggressive, or dramatic. But real courage is often quiet. It shows up in small moments when you choose action instead of avoidance, when you choose growth instead of comfort, and when you choose uncertainty instead of staying in a safe but limiting place. Comfort feels safe because it removes pressure. It gives temporary peace, predictable routines, and familiar outcomes. But over time, comfort becomes a cage that is built so slowly that you don't even notice the walls forming around you. You stop trying new things, you stop taking risks, you stop challenging yourself. And without realizing it, your life begins to shrink while your excuses begin to grow. Courage, on the other hand, expands your world. Every time you step into something uncomfortable, you stretch your limits a little further. At first, it feels difficult, even unnatural. Your mind resists it because it prefers safety over uncertainty. But growth has never lived inside comfort. Everything you admire in successful people was once uncomfortable for them too. The difference is they stayed in that discomfort long enough for it to turn into confidence. Many people wait for fear to disappear before they take action, but fear rarely disappears completely. It only changes shape as you grow. The goal is not to eliminate fear, but to stop letting it make your decisions. If fear controls your actions, your life becomes smaller over time. But if courage takes control, your life begins to expand in ways you could not predict. The truth is, most opportunities in life come wrapped in uncertainty. New skills feel uncomfortable at first. New environments feel intimidating. New challenges feel risky. But if you always wait until something feels easy, you will miss the very experiences that could transform you. Courage is what allows you to enter those experiences despite not having guarantees. Every act of courage builds a stronger version of you. The first step feels heavy, the second step feels slightly easier, and over time, what once felt impossible becomes part of your identity. You begin to trust yourself more, not because everything goes perfectly, but because you learn that you can handle imperfection and still move forward. A life without courage becomes a life of repetition. A life with courage becomes a life of expansion. And the difference between the two is not talent, not luck, not timing. It is simply the willingness to act while fear is still present. 2027 is not far away. It is quietly approaching with everything you are building or avoiding today. The question is not whether life will change. The question is, will you change before it does?